Welcome to the Ortho Joe Show, a joint production of the Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery and Ortho Evidence. In our world, orthopedic research is king, and current topics from our respective publications are analyzed weekly. Here is Mohit Bhandari from Ortho Evidence and Marc Swinkowski from the Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery.
Well, good morning, Mo, and cheers to you. I don't know, where are we up to 25 of Ortho Joe podcast?
It seems like something like that. Yeah, it seems like it's going really well. So I'm just happy. I'm happy. After the first one, I said, okay, I just hope we have a second, and it just keeps going. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I saw some stats that was shared that there's over 40,000 downloads, which it's awesome. It's very impressive, and it's kind of humbling to understand that people actually listen to what we're saying. So hopefully there's some real value in that. But so I asked for this topic to be put in, but if those in the audience have other ideas about what they would like us to cover or discuss or come back to, it's orthojoe@jbjs.org, and we're happy to look at the mailbag and respond and put it on the list. But I was the one that nominated this one because I became aware, since I participated in a small way, of the publication of your latest book, EvidenceBased Orthopedics.
Yeah.
And this is edition number 2, if I have it right.
Yep.
There you have it right there. And so when was the first one, and how did you come about the idea for this publication?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first edition was 2012, if you can believe it. And even then there was a ton of questions. They said, well, no joking. It was like, well, will there be even enough evidence to make a book, a textbook of evidence-based orthopedics? And even back then, it was a fairly hefty book. If you look at this, I mean, there's some stuff in here, right? I mean, orthos come a long way.
And it's not all pictures, is it?
It's not all pictures. It's actually words and tables and numbers, right? So, but yeah, I mean, who would have thought that in 2021 we'd be into a second edition, and we'd also have, we added a bunch of new sections. So there's about just under 190 chapters. So there's, but they're short, very focused. So they have a question, a couple of key questions in a topic area, and then you would go right into it, covering, sort of the full spectrum that is orthopedic practice. So yeah, it's been they're hard to get done because they're just, they're large, and you've edited textbooks, more than anybody, sort of the workflow that goes along with getting them out. And then hopefully the information is relevant enough, for a reasonable amount of time, because evidence changes. But, we thought for sure over several years, there would be enough new information to warrant a second edition. And that's kind of where we went with that.
Yeah. Well, so I have to ask you the perhaps larger question. What is the role of books these days in orthopedic learning and staying up to date? What's your current thought on that?
Well, on a personal note, I can tell you that I would think there are some things in our field that are just, staple. Surgical approaches for the most part, our anatomy stays the same, and, having some sort of compendium of that knowledge makes a lot of sense to me as a reference. And you'll probably, I think most of us probably have some version of one of our favorite trauma textbooks, our favorite orthopedic textbooks. Now they're online, but they're functionally still books, right. Which I think that makes sense. The area that I think is really challenging, and that's why particularly this particular book, we'll see how the evidence, stays the test of time. When you have when you're only focusing on evidence, you do have a risk that you're going to become dated. Now, I recall that, by the time any typical textbook's out, by the time the textbook's out, you're looking at 2 to 3 years of stuff that's been put in. And so you're already 2 or 3 years, behind that. So staying up to date has been particularly a challenge. I don't know, Marc, what the future is. I think everything is moving. Look, I'll tell you one thing. It is a weird, surreal feeling to hold a book again, right? Like this, because everything just shows up as a, online document. Yeah. And so that in itself has been particularly interesting to see that part of it, because I don't think people actually hold books. Like we went through our training with books. I used to lug books around. Yeah. I used to read them, and I still kind of read them. I imagine there's many listeners and viewers who are probably in the same mindset, like they want to hold the journal, right? Yeah. They want to hold something. So I think there's some of that there. But I don't know. I'm hopefully it stays. Hopefully if there's value, for those who tend to get it. And I can tell you right now, you got to help me out here. You got to help me out because right now I've given a copy to every family member. And, and my mom still tries to ask me, she still asks me what a tibia is. I said, okay, Mom, if you can't figure that out by now, Mom, then you're not going to figure it out.
Let's do a little shameless promotion here. How do people order this book if they're interested in obtaining a copy?
I am glad you asked that. So I would say if you just type in evidence-based orthopedics, it pops right up because the good people at Wiley Publishers have probably spent a lot of money getting those AdWords and Google in there. So it pops up everywhere.
Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
And it's on, and you can get it through Chapters and Chapters Indigo and through Wiley Publishers.
Okay. Good. So, a little bit of a branch of the discussion is printed media, not so much books, but actually printed media. And I can tell you when we survey at the journal, which we do every 2 years, readers, there still is a substantial number of younger readers below age 40 that still prefer the print. And here's the reason why what they say. The information is you can fold up a journal in your lab coat pocket. And if you've got 3 minutes between a case, you can skim an article or read an abstract or look at a table. Whereas it takes you that long to log on and then find something to read. So there is a little bit of value to actually having that chunk of paper that you can carry around. So I'm not sure that print media is going to go extinct anytime soon.
And I think with everyone being on the computer so much and on their handheld so much, I don't know if you ever tried reading. Like I know I'll be, we used to be, I should say, in the days we used to take an airplane, those big things that fly in the air and you travel and I haven't done that in a long time. So I don't know what it's like, but let's just say you're back to doing that. You'd see people with their little readers and they would be reading away. And I cannot read. Like if I'm going to read a book, I'd rather read the book. That's just a personal thing. And maybe it's just because, we grew up with books. So it just become harder. Whereas my 13-year-old, she has no problem, Mark, no problem just sitting on a tiny phone and reading and reading and reading. And I think that's got to have it has to have impact on eye strain. Yeah. And so I can see why you'd want to switch it up. Everyone learns differently. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're going to see in our professional lifetime, certainly not mine, maybe yours, you're so much younger than me, but I think books are going to be around for reasons that you outlined. The basics that change very slowly, physiology is another example, other aspects of basic science. I think there is going to continue to be value in that. And with such an important and classic work as evidence-based orthopedics, I think you're in good standing for a long life for this publication. So,
I am happy to sign any copy to anyone who buys one of these things. I'll sign it. I will sign it. I will sign it whenever. You want to become an author? I'll throw you in. You just whatever. I'm ready to make deals on this book anytime, Mark. Anytime.
You may regret saying that.
I may regret saying that. Yeah. But you know what would be great is if anyone, for those listening, and I would love to learn more about how people read. So are people still reading textbooks? Are you using the paper journals? Because we have this push to believe that everything is going digital. And more importantly, beyond digital, it's going to be, glasses, even the Google Glass that said, okay, no, it's just going to be, it'll be carried with you all the time. So you'll never not have information at your fingertips. I wonder though, if for some of us, what is old school will become the new school again, right? Things always go in cycles.
Sure. It's like people turning back to vinyl.
Yes. And appreciating just what that means, right? And who knows? And I think we're in to see these kind of flips happening. So I'm curious for those who having to listen to this, give us your input. That'd be really interesting to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, in terms of books, I'm sure this is going to be a classic and will be widely read. And congratulations on
thank you very much.
You and your senior authors for putting this together. It's a lot of work, a ton of work over years, and I know there will be benefit for those that read it. So cheers to you, and congratulations on the second edition of Evidence-Based Orthopedics.
Well, thank you.
And have a good morning.
You too. Thanks again. And let data rule the world, shall we say, huh?
Amen.